Good Friday morning, my friends. Did y'all have a nice week? I think we've had a pretty nice week. It's been really, really hot. But, I'm up here all the time. I was a mess yesterday. I couldn't make a video yesterday to save my life. I came up here in the morning and started messing with all these beads. And it's just like I got my day started wrong. You should always start with your devotion. So I'm starting with my devotion this morning. Okie doke. It's July 30. July 30, 2021. Let's see what the book says today. Matthew 10:39. Words of Jesus. Whoever finds their life will lose it. And whosoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Yikes. That's a little scary. That's a little scary. I mean, that almost makes you feel like everybody needs to go out and kill themselves, huh? Everyone who loses their life, how do you lose your life? You die. Is that what Jesus meant? No. That's not what Jesus meant. Let's see what the lady says Jesus meant. What an awesome statement. Losing your life, giving it to Jesus, doesn't take your life, your freedom, creativity, or mind away. No, giving control of your life to Jesus enriches your life and talents by giving real purpose, peace, and joy. Imagine waking up each day and knowing that your words and deeds will be used by God to make a difference in someone else's life. That is my prayer. That is my daily prayer. Yes, as Jesus says, your real life is found in living for Jesus and serving Him. A life with purpose. Isn't that just awesome? Yes, that's what Jesus means. He doesn't mean dying. He's talking about your flesh, your mind, your will, and your emotions. When you lose them, by giving them all to Jesus, you will have a completely, totally different life. And that is very, very true. Start listening to testimonies of people who were completely in the dark, hated Jesus, hated God, hated the Bible, hated religion, hated all of that stuff. But then somehow, by some grandma's prayer, by some mama's prayer, some grandpa's prayer, some daddy's prayer, God got through to them. And they completely changed, and they gave all of that to the Lord. How many people had a gun to their head and about to shoot themselves? And by some miraculous happening, the TV suddenly came on to Joel Osteen or Billy Graham or whoever. And I know there's people out there that think Billy Graham was not really a Christian because he was a Mason or something, and Joel Osteen is supposed to be a horrible, horrible person. I don't agree. I don't agree at all. You shall know them by their fruits. How many people have been born again by what you say and what you do and how you live your life? How many people have been born again? How many because of Billy Graham? Joel Osteen, at the end of every single one of his programs, always says, I never like to close without giving you opportunity to make Jesus your Lord and Savior. Why would he say that if he's an evil, horrible man? If they're preaching the Word and it agrees with the Bible and people are getting born again, don't tell me they're not Christians. And even worse. I'm just not buying it. I was actually at a Billy Graham crusade when I was 16 years old with my best friend. And I've told you that before. And my mom and my dad always worked at the Billy Graham crusades in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, I saw those people. I was with those people. They were wonderful, wonderful people. All the different churches in the whole town came and helped. And Billy Graham was an amazing minister and a wonderful Christian. I don't know what happened later in his life, if he got dementia and he got into something he should have gotten into. Well, hello, how many people do that? So, my opinion, the gospel according to Joy, Queen Joy. If you know someone You know their background, you know their history, you've been to their church, you know their ministry. Joyce Meyer, I hear horrible things about Joyce Meyer now. You know, Joyce Meyer's really getting up there in age. Joyce Meyer went from being raped by her father her whole growing up life, and then got away from that and got into the ministry and got her own ministry, and then she went from having nothing, and the Lord teaching her how to live by things that happen in grocery stores, and she became extremely wealthy. You know, these people always write these books, and these books make them millions of dollars. And I think money corrupts a lot of these ministries. I really do. You know, when you suddenly have millions of dollars in your hands. And what upsets me about them, Kenneth Copeland, Jesse Duplantis, lots of them out there. What upsets me, well, it doesn't upset me, it just concerns me, makes me wonder. I've actually heard Jesse Duplantis say, oh, the government started sending me a check. And I assumed it was his Social Security check because he was 65. And he said, I didn't need that money, I didn't want that money, I just give it to my daughter. But right on the other hand, in the very same moments, he starts asking you to send him money. If he has so much money, he's throwing it away. Why does he have to ask me for any money? He ought to say, today I'm going to give everybody some money. Raise your hand if you need some money, and start giving it to people. God doesn't give them all that money for them to just keep building and building and building their wealth. And then preaching that I have so much money, I'm throwing it away. I get a little mixed up there. And I know you're looking at me and saying, well, obviously you have plenty of it. But what you don't know about me and you don't know about Jerry is how much we give of what we have. How much we could have if we didn't give so much away. Sure, we could own an airplane. We could own a yacht. We could do a lot of things. But we don't. We are very joyful, happy givers. We love to give. And one of my favorite things to do, and you all can figure that out, is to help children. And so we give a lot to the Sanctuary of Hope in San Antonio, where they take little moms in, little pregnant girls in, whose parents' lifestyle at home is terrible, and they have no way of supporting the baby, and of course the government wants to murder their baby for free. And so the Sanctuary of Hope takes them in, takes in the mom, takes in the baby, and supports them both, the baby through its life until it's 18. Do you know anybody else that does that? I don't. And so I love to give to places like that. So does Jerry. Jerry has been on missionary trips. We have given money to, you know, those organizations that send you a picture of the child. I never trust them. I always think, oh, they're just going to go buy a new airplane and print up a whole bunch of folders and letters and cards and send them all out and fake a signature on it and beg you for more money all the time. I don't trust those places. But Jerry actually went on missionary trips and actually met the missionaries and actually met the little girl in person. And we supported that little girl until she was grown. So, I'm only responsible for what I do. Jerry's only responsible for what he does. But I think some of these ministries are just really making a bad impression on a lot of people because of what they do with their millions and millions from their books and their whatever it is they do. Okay? I happen to know the Hagees don't. The Hagees, if you look them up, you know, they tell you where everybody lives and what their mansion looks like and how much they spent on it and blah, blah, blah. I was really surprised when I looked up Pastor Hagee that his was really a small amount, because he gives and gives and gives and gives. He's a wonderful, wonderful man, and he has a wonderful family who has 5 children who all serve the Lord and work in the church, and their children are all saved, and all of them adore Grandma and Grandpa and honor them and serve them and love them. Who has that? I'll tell you, I know a lot of ministers whose kids have turned completely to the other side. Oh yeah. Become alcoholics, become drug addicts, been married 3-4 times and divorced, some kill themselves, some are in mental hospitals, I know of personally. So for a family to be so together and so into the Word and so in unity, don't tell me that they're not Christians. I know better because I can see their fruit. And I started to say Joyce Meyer now suddenly is on the horrible preacher list because she started talking about people would have been healed if they'd had more faith or something like that. You know, I do it. Sometimes people go overboard and they say things they don't really understand that's going across and how it's going across. It's like Kenneth Hagin, my favorite preacher in the whole wide world. Kenneth Hagin, his book is in my books, in my Amazon store. His book. I told you about the preacher that was born dead and his grandma went outside to bury him under a tree and brought him back in. A little tiny itty bitty baby born premature. And he said, because people in his church would complain about this minister or that minister or this preacher or that preacher, somebody said, well, I saw that preacher go into the bar this afternoon. He would say, be as smart as a cow. Eat the hay and spit out the chaff. And he said to this person, he said, that preacher came out of that bar and he asked God to forgive him. And God forgave him right then. And it was buried in the deepest sea and God doesn't even remember it. So why do you remember it? You know, being in the ministry has to be the hardest thing. I told Jerry, I said, I feel sorry for these people that have to be on the TV every single day. It has to be the hardest thing in the world. It's one thing to stand in your own house, in your own room, in your own camera, and you can edit it, and you can take out the things you don't like you said. You can take out the way your eyeshadow looked weird, or your lipstick was crooked, or, I don't know how they do it. So, please always keep in mind, I don't care what you read or what you know, that everybody's human, even the preachers, Mr. or Mrs. Eat the hay, spit out the chaff. I love you. I'll be back tomorrow.